Hi, I'm Mohit. Today we'll go into the basics of how heating happens on the delish up. Let's actually first go into try and understanding how cooking happens in the first place, and then we'll go to the engineering methods of how heat can be applied and what the delish up does. Imagine an onion. An onion, if you remember well, has different layers, right? When someone says that an onion is cooked or not cooked, people have a very clear understanding of what it means to cook an onion. When you heat an onion, you can imagine an onion lying on its back, and the bottom of the onion is in contact with your heating surface, typically the top of your kadhai. When the kadhai is heating this onion, what is truly happening is that the bottom layer of the onion is taking in the heat from the heating surface and using some of that heat to transform that bottom layer and transmitting some of that heat upwards into the upper layer of the onion, and so on and so forth. The cooking of most vegetables typically happens around the boiling point of water, which is why when you cook onions, you see that you start with these many onions and they shrink down in volume to this little volume. So what it truly means to cook is that if you imagine all of your food like this multi-layered onion, there are layers of food or ingredients that are exposed to direct heat. This heat is getting transmitted inwards. All of this ingredient needs to reach this particular temperature of cooking. Now, different techniques also seek to kind of move around in these definitions to create different kinds of textures. Let me give you an example. If you've eaten a French fry that's super crisp on the outside and super soft on the inside, what has happened out there is that heat has been applied to this outside layer at such a high rate that before it could transmit heat into the rest of the potato, the outer layer got burnt and it became crisp and it sealed off everything inside. These kinds of interplays between different kinds of temperatures that you apply differentially are, when controlled well, are what give rise to different kinds of techniques of cooking. There is roasting, there is frying, there is sauteing itself. Also, it depends on the ingredient that you have involved that particular technique gets its name. These kinds of different temperatures for ingredients and different temperatures for different techniques are what we internally call as signatures of the ingredients for that cuisine or for that technique. What the delish up does really well is that in its own heating method, it tries to ape this particular signature of every single ingredient. So if you decide, I want to stir fry an onion, what the delish up will do is understand the meaning of stir fry. It will understand that your ingredient is an onion. It will go through its memory and its understanding and retrieve what it means to stir fry an onion from the perspective of temperature and time. And it will apply these things to this onion so that you get the correct stir-fried onion every single time. One last question that often comes up is, how do you ensure that there is no burning if you are cooking on the delish up? Going back to this very definition, the moment something goes out of control in applying this heat to every single layer, burning is what ingredients tend to experience, and you typically see that even on the bottom of your vessels. So burning is something which we internally define as an uncontrolled consequence of an application of heat for a certain temperature. In simple terms, it means that someone forgot to turn the gas off, as typically people say, turn the gas off at the right time. In our parlance, what it means is someone forgot to turn off the heat, or we misidentified that particular ingredient. On the delish up, as you cook more and more, your cooking signatures are learned by the device. All these cooking signatures learned by all delish ups on the field combined together and ensure that the more you cook, the better your delish up becomes and the less there is burning, if any.